Ladies and gentlemen, Ian Trottier from San Marcos, Reawaken Tour, Clay Clark, former NHL hockey player, Brandon Witt. What?
Defenseman, I guess?
Defenseman?
Yeah,
I don't know. Go ahead, Brandon.
not hurting my feelings.
It's not. Brandon, you and I first met in Anaheim. Wait, you travel outside the state of California?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah.
Were you in Phoenix?
Yeah, I think I saw you. We just never connected.
Yeah, we're in
San Antonio
too, yeah.
Dude, we didn't do a segment though. We didn't do an episode.
No.
We haven't sat down together since Anaheim.
Yeah, since Anaheim.
Yeah. And I tell everybody this because this is one of the reasons I like you so much, Brandon, is because you lay it out like a hockey defensive man. You just lay out your competition. Boom. Put them smack down on the ground if you need to. And the question I had for you last time we met was if Colin Kaepernick, who's the guy that seems to have a problem with the U.S. flag, the anthem, some of these other things that have made him famous, I suppose, right? Because he wouldn't have claimed that fame if he had played football in like Canada, all right?
Yeah.
So, and I said if Kaepernick took a knee on your team opposing your anthem, what would you do?
I believe I said I would break his nose the next day in practice.
I do recall that being accurate.
And I still have that stance.
You haven't changed your stance.
No.
Brandon, congratulations for being a man of integrity and honor and a man of your word. Bring listeners up to date as to what's evolved and become of your world, Brandon, since we last spoke about 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay, let's see. We're still in medical tyranny. My homeland, where I grew up, Canada, is now communist. Little Trudeau is part of WEF, Klaus Schwab group. What else?
WEF?
WEF? What do they call it? WEF? With Klaus? Mr. Schwab? And his minions, right? University, grooming program. What else? Gas is ridiculous for the American middle class and lower. Let's see what else. Oh, now they think biolabs in Ukraine, right?
Who's they?
The deep state's biolabs? Fauci's biolab? I mean, I don't know.
Soros,
yeah.
Schwab.
They all probably connected to Ukraine,
Somehow.
right?
Yep.
Biden's. The fact that you probably have 4 sitting senators that their sons run oil companies in the Ukraine.
Oh,
Coincidence. Wow.
Names here, Brandon?
Nancy Pelosi. Mitt Romney. Hang on, I'm trying to think of the other two. Hang on. I can't think of it right now. Too many interviews going on. Too much loud noise. Too many distractions.
Too many corrupt politicians.
Too many corrupt politicians. A lot of corruption going on, being exposed as American people are starting to learn. And the media keeps lying and lying.
Mainstream.
Yeah, mainstream media.
Meaning Fox News?
Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. You know that guy, Rachel Maddow? Is it a dude? Oh, no. Is that a chick?
What is that?
What?
I
heard somebody?
I've never met the person.
Did I hurt some feelings? I don't know. Just calling us
Princeton, I think. He or she or...
I'm lost. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. Let's see. A lot going on since we've talked last.
Yeah, so before we went on mic, we were talking about a guy named Chris Sky.
Yes.
And you are a Canadian. I do claim Canada just through my ancestral roots, but I don't have any tie to the country legally.
Yeah.
But it's an important country to me, outside of being the northern neighbor.
Of course. Me too.
You're from Ireland, I thought.
No, I'm born and raised. I was born in Saskatchewan.
You too.
Saskatchewan.
Oh, Saskatchewan.
Prairie boy. But I know Chris Guy. He's been at this very early in the game, standing up for his freedoms, which I love. He's been a pain in their butts, which I love.
And they keep arresting him, and they can't hold him behind bars because they can't uphold the charges.
The charges, right? The charter, the Canadian charter. He knows his rights. He knows them, and I love it. I love it. He was really vocal on the trucker.
Yes. Convoy,
I would call it. And that's beautiful to see. And I always tell people, because people ask me, what's going on in Canada? I go, you know how hard it is to piss off the Canadian population? They're so kind and so friendly.
Yeah.
For you to tick them off and get all the truckers, I go, wait till the lumber mill boys come down from Prince George. Wait till those guys come down. The guys working up on the oil rigs. Wait till they come down. Ooh, you think the truckers are bad? Wait till the lumber boys and the rig guys come down. Woo, boy.
Brandon, do you foresee that happening?
I don't know. I just...
You're suggesting that it should happen?
Well...
Or you're just...
I'm suggesting that the Canadian people should stand up for their rights and their freedoms. And they have. But I believe under the CBC communist broadcast channel, run by the government...
Run by the Jesuits?
I don't know if the Jesuits... Maybe. I don't know. It's a good claim. I think they should keep pushing till Trudeau resigns. Little Castro.
Well, okay. I'm glad you brought that up, because is there any validity behind he possibly having that Castro blood in him, or is that just...
You know what? If you look, and right, everyone says it's conspiracy. If you look at history, his father, when he was prime minister, would always go to Cuba. If you look at the photos of his mother, she's quite fancy. Castro as his grabs his arm a lot. They're very like two lovebirds. That's what I think for the photos. It may not be true. I guess DNA would only tell you. But if you look at a young photo of Castro and Trudeau, they look pretty similar. It's kind of eerie similar.
Trudeau's French, right?
Yeah. I believe so. He's Quebecois?
Yeah. That's where I insert the Jesuit angle.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good analogy.
There's Brandon. There's a guy named Servando Gonzalez, and he's a contributing author to a book that I've written and it should be published here in a couple months. It's on pre-order. It's called Freedom Reserve, No More Lies, and I've had the contract with Trine Day Publishing for a couple of years now, and that should be wrapped up. But Servando's a contributing author, and Servando went to the University of Havana. He lives in the United States now, and he says, Ian, my research shows that the CIA deliberately built up Fidel Castro, and they are doing the same thing to overthrow the United States. CIA overthrow the United States, and then listeners are like, wait a second, the CIA is an American entity. It's not. It's not. It's controlled by the Crown. And so this is a conversation piggybacking off of an episode I recently did today with Ann Vanderstill. And she hadn't gone down this road, Brandon. But if you look at the initial flag of the United States, adapted by Washington and Franklin in 1775, John Paul Jones hoisted this flag. I think it was on the Delaware. What's the river outside of Philadelphia? Is that Delaware? Okay. Yeah. He was the first. It's a military flag. But that flag has 13 stripes in it, alternating black and white, or white and red. But in the upper left corner, it does not have stars. It wasn't until 1776 or 7 that Betsy Ross incorporated the stars. What appears in that first flag, which flew over the San Francisco State Capitol in 2008, it is a Rothschild flag. Now, what's important here is that in that upper left corner, initially, before the stars came along, is the Union Jack. It's called the Grand Union Flag of the United States. So if we look at the Union Jack and we say, well, that's the flag that represents the monarchy, the crown, well, that consists of 3 crosses. Those 3 crosses are the cross of St. George, the cross of St. Andrew, and the cross of St. Patrick, representing England, Scotland, and Ireland. That's what the Union Jack represents, and it is that flag that appears in the upper left-hand corner of the initial flag of the United States. So then we go crown, and you maybe heard of a guy named David Icke. Yeah, David Icke talks about this, and he says, well, the Bank of England is housed in the City of London, but the City of London does not represent Big Ben and Buckingham Palace and Parliament. The City of London is a small financial district inside of London Metropolitan. And the City of London, to this day, is not controlled by the United Kingdom. It controls the United Kingdom. It is the banking
system. For the time that, they lost the war, right? And then they bet on the certain country. And is that how the Rothschilds took over London, right? Or took over England because of the war, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Without getting into that, we can go back further. We can say, Brandon, as late or early as 1066, William of Normandy conquered the British Isles, but he was unable to conquer the City of London. He never conquered the City of London, and the City of London has remained a sovereign entity or sovereign nation that controls the monarchy since then, and to this day is as such. So then we go, okay, the crown. I'm gonna insert something here that probably captivate you, because you are already captivated. I'll captivate you further, Brendan. The crown represents the queen or the king. But really? Many of us here, religious, I tend not to be, but many are religious. There's another crown that was worn by somebody that the Pope represents. And that crown was made not of rubies and diamonds. That crown was made of thorns. The head of Rome represents that corpus, if you will, like corporation, corpus, body.
Yes, you're untouchable by law.
So the City of London represents the actual crown. The actual crown is not the queen or the king. The actual crown is he, not she. He that represents the crown of thorns. And that would be the Pope. So those three crosses that appear in that Union Jack that represent the British are representing the controlling entity over those entities, and that is Rome.
That's interesting. You just blew my mind. I've never heard that.
Bam.
Wow. That's very interesting.
And that is who controls the banking system of the United States. It's the same thing that controls Canada.
Yeah.
Same thing that controls Australia. And it goes back through the United Kingdom. And definitely the Rothschild are the money managers.
Yeah.
And how they get away with this is they shelter all of their finances and their riches in Switzerland.
Davos,
World Economic Forum,
WEF.
Basel, Switzerland. Basel, Switzerland is what regulates all the central banks globally. This former empire still exists.
Oh, I believe
it's called the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And they control the global finances through this central banking system. That's what I argue. So let me insert something else, Brandon. Because now we're going back to Rome, saying all roads lead to Rome. Let me insert this. So now you have Russia invading Ukraine. And Russia and China now saying, we're right next to Russia. We support Russia. And then you got this Biden administration, which are complete UN puppets, right? Total UN puppets, destroying this country, whether they realize it or not. They are. And they're saying, well, we're gonna impose our sanctions. We're not gonna buy your oil. And you know what, Brandon? We're even gonna go to what should be an arch nemesis in Venezuela, because that regime fucking totally I don't like to swear, but totally destroyed the people of Venezuela, right?
Very quickly.
That's centralized regime, right? And that's the same. Oh, so now Biden, you're willing to do business with that?
Yeah, of course he is.
You're willing to do business with that? And you want to close down Trump's Keystone Pipeline or whoever's pipeline that was?
Just America, we the people, Keystone. We could be our own. Have our own oil, our own gas. We would be paying, $6, $7 a gallon. It's common sense. I look at it. Why are we not energy dependent? There's a reason why they're pushing us to this system. At the end of the day, I look at it this way. It's about control, right? We want to control the masses. And that's from medical, money, so that you and I have an allowance to travel. Let's say you can only go from East Coast to West Coast twice a year. Only if you're a good citizen.
Yeah,
Good obedient. Like, I call it... Slave, like in China, right? You're a unit. Like, I couldn't imagine, let's say you were at the Olympics and you didn't place. Well, guess what? We're going to shame you. Not just you, your family, your aunts, your uncles, etc., etc. It's the same system, and they're trying to push it globally. I believe, and it's wrong.
Fully support that. I fully support and agree with that, Brandon.
It's mind-blowing that people don't see it for what it is. But like you said, I love it. You're connecting the history where we are today. It's the same puppet masters pulling the strings, just using different faces. And I think people are becoming aware of it. I hope they become more aware of it. And it's hard because once when you get this message out, the censorship, right? Like I get asked, why aren't more athletes speaking up? And I understand current athletes. They may be scared to speak up. That's fine. Do what you want to do.
Was it the Washington Capitals?
Yeah, Washington Capitals. You can do whatever you want. But where are the X guys? Where are the X players that don't have skin in the game? They're like, why are you not on ESPN? Well, ESPN is bought and greased. The whole system's greased. They're bought by China. Who owns ESPN? Disney. Who owns Disney? China. I go, there's a reason why they put in their puppets. If you're a yes man, that's what you're seeing on TV right now. I will say what they want me to say for me to get my paycheck. I don't play like that. And I hope more people have integrity and tell the New World Order to go shove it. Literally. I don't call it the New World Order. It's like the Nazi World Order. That's what they are. They're still the Nazis from World War II that got away. This Project Mockingbird crap. It's the same garbage.
Let me insert this with you, Brandon. Let me insert this now. Otto von Bismarck, Chancellor of Germany, kicked Karl Marx out. He also kicked out Frederick Engels. And the country they sought refuge was England. At the British Museum, and my source on this is an author named Eric John Phelps. At the British Museum, Engels financed Marx, but Marx was tutored by a European. And that tutor to write Das Kapital was a guy named Peter Becks. Beckx. Who was Peter Becks? This is where I'm going to tie in this Union Jack for you. You can even go into Adam Weishaupt. You've heard of that name, Adam Weishaupt?
Yeah.
Adam Weishaupt basically created the order known as the Skull and Bones. Taft and the grandfather of the president, and I'm trying to think of the other person, but they created the American Satellite Society to that Adam Weishaupt Society, which the Rothschild made their money off of, something called the Hegelian dialectic, which is basically financially supporting two sides, like Fox News and MSNBC, and you purposely,
both sides,
and then you divide and then you conquer. And that's how Rothschild made his fortune in Europe through those wars. But if we go to Adam Weishaupt, but here we have a guy named Peter Becks. And Peter Becks is tied to a guy named St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius of Loyola. And St. Ignatius of Loyola was the founder of a militant order for the Vatican, known as the Society of Jesus, otherwise known as the
Jesuits.
According to this guy named Eric John Phelps, and other source, a guy named Gary Campbell, I believe, that wrote a book called Our Flag that talks about this Union Jack appearing on the initial flag of the United States Continental Army, Continental Congress flag, adapted by Washington and Franklin. Peter Becks was the superior general of the Society of Jesus, or Jesuits. So that is basically who wrote Das Kapital.
The Jesuits.
Jesuits. According to Eric John Phelps.
Yes.
Now, if we go to 2022, and even, I don't know how long this guy's been the head of that organization, but now we look at a guy named Pope Francis. And Francis is not Franciscan. Right? So you have the Dominicans, the Franciscans. Those are different. Those are like philosophical orders for Rome. The Jesuits are a militant order. Pope Francis comes across as being a philosopher, supposedly, right? Or this is my interpretation. But he's not Franciscan. He's not Franciscan. He's only using the name to disguise who he is. He is a Jesuit.
Yeah, a lot of things are run by the Jesuits. A lot.
Like
which school is it? A lot of
Georgetown.
Georgetown is Mason. George Mason, maybe. Don't quote me on that. I may be wrong on that one. But a lot of Jesuits or was it the Malta? The Maltas?
Knights of Malta.
Knights of Malta. No one knows the Maltas used to smuggle people from Portugal. It was a small island chain before you go to Canada. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but it's not that. It's right between Newfoundland. That was used. They couldn't keep it as a village because no one wanted to live there because it was in the middle of nowhere. It was hard to survive there. So they would use it as a stop and go point to bring people come and go.
The Knights of Malta.
Knights of Malta.
And the Knights of Malta are, I believe, still an organization, but they are part of this
they're all
militant order.
Yeah, I believe they're all part of the same group on some kind of umbrella system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, everything somewhat is connected to the past.
Sure, absolutely. And it all goes back to money and power.
Exactly. Money and power control the world. Or try to control the world.
An attempt.
They attempt.
An attempt.
Like now we're seeing it on such a large scale that we've never seen before. I mean, it's everywhere. It's controlling people, how they think, what they read. I mean, you wouldn't think that you're in America right now. You know? It blows my mind that we're at this point.
How long you lived in California?
I lived here over 7 years now. And it's
totally different state now today than it was when you first moved here, or?
I mean, we always make a joke that California is a bit of fruits and nuts, lands of fruits and nuts. It's a little different, but people have been nice. But the last few years, there's this whole COVID tyranny garbage.
Yeah.
Has really gone off the rails. People, but you know, it's propaganda, right? They watch the idiot box. They believe what they listen to. I tell people, I go, stop watching mainstream media. You know, stop. It's just fear mongering. They're trying to control the masses. For example, I watch it just to see what's going on once in a while. And the amount of COVID, scared, fear,
right.
Like 24/7, and I'm just like, really? But you know, I would think over time of watching that over and over, it's a form of brainwashing. So I Mockingbird, totally. So I see the mass psychosis. You see it. Now the thing is how do you break people out of the mass psychosis?
Dehypnotize them.
dehypnotized. Everyone is hypnotized from the TV, from their phones, from their computers. They don't want to look at the real world. They want to pretend this fake world exists.
But Brandon, it's your world that's fake.
Yes, I'm crazy. I'm the crazy one. You're the crazy one. Why are you thinking like this? And I always want to know, how did the Nazis do it, right? Through propaganda. Well, we're seeing the last 3 years a full-fledged propaganda machine being rammed down everyone's throat, and if you don't believe, you're crazy. Rather than the other way around.
Right.
Which it should be. So,
and it's their aim to round up everybody like you and me and put them in the money bin. And it can't.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, I saw a video of these camps in Canada that they're putting together. I'm like, are you serious? That's ridiculous. And the fact that I think now they're trying to make a rifle a gun registry in Canada. So how many clips? I don't know if you know the guns in Canada. I think
Are there a lot?
Well, they're rifles, right? But you can't have a magazine. I think your cartridge can have 3 bullets in it.
Right, there's a limit. Oh my god.
There's a limit,
wow.
3, right? And they all have to be, it's pinned off at the bottom. Like, I came from farmland, so it's pinned off. Like, you can't add anything to it. It's ridiculous. And now they want to make a database for that because they've pissed off a lot of farmers. I know in Saskatchewan, a lot of farmers are probably pissed off, real pissed.
But they're unarmed. You're not armed sufficiently? Is that accurate?
No, I think a lot of farmers are armed because I remember as a kid, they tried to make a registry.
Yeah.
And my uncle lost his lid because, farmers, they have a big collection of just rifles and shotguns, nothing crazy, just for hunting because, we have big deer and we like to hunt and we're outdoorsmen. But the Canadian government doesn't have good intentions for their people. They don't. Especially when you have, no one's talking about okay, for example, the vaccine, right? How the envelope, how it's delivered. That was made in UBC. They had UBC to help them.
UBC?
The University of British Columbia helped them. Is anyone talking about Trudeau's racket? How he gets X amount of money for each Canadian that is vaccinated? Isn't that racketeering? That's racketeering. He's getting profit from pushing out a vaccine. No wonder he's running it down everyone's throat. There's a reason behind it. People are getting
paid off by the central bank.
They're getting
compensated.
They're getting compensated for this. There's a reason for it. We're getting a benefit. It's so wrong on so many levels. It's really upsetting.
Let me ask you a question. The United States abolished their gold standard under Nixon in 1971. And I told a member of the People's Convoy that's now in D.C. and I said, you guys need to branch. You guys need to create a branch off and go down to Tennessee and circle Fort Knox, or Kentucky. Go down to Kentucky and circle Fort Knox and demand an audit Fort Knox. Does Canada have a gold standard? And if not, how long has it not had a gold standard?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know anything really about that. All I know is the big news is that Russia went to a gold standard.
They went to a gold standard?
Last week they created their own internet and went to a gold standard.
How do you confirm this? What's your source on that?
I'd have to look at my phone, but I could definitely pull it up for you. But that was what I read.
You're saying Russia went to a gold standard?
Yeah, hang on. Let me pull it up. Because Putin kicked out the bank, right? He kicked out the Rothschild Bank gold standard. Okay. Of course, the internet's slow here because we're all using it.
Right.
Right?
There's 3,000 people using the internet at once.
Yeah, so I read a couple days ago that they went to
hit that with a hockey stick?
Yeah, I know. My big oven mitts. The big oven mitts.
Yeah, big oven mitts.
I never had nice mitts. I never was known for goal scoring.
The Capitals never give you nice mitts?
No, I meant I don't have soft hands, so therefore I break things. So it's not loading. But yeah, so that was the rumor that it went to gold standard.
You can send it to me if you like.
Yeah.
You think of it.
Yeah. So, so I find that interesting. Don't you find that interesting? Why would Russia go to gold
If that is
standard?
accurate, I find it incredibly interesting.
So let me see if it's accurate. If the internet would like to work, but I will definitely find it for you.
Yeah, because in my opinion, more Americans need to realize the economic tyranny that they've been under for decades.
I mean, they've been stealing taxpayer money and funding, these dark programs, whatever they want to fund. If you're looking at these biolabs in the Ukraine, that's taxpayer money that funded those projects. And also, I think every pharmaceutical company is in Kyiv, in Ukraine. So if you're not a pharmaceutical company and you're not in Kyiv, you're not part of the group. I think,
really?
Yeah. A lot of pharmaceuticals companies have headquarters in
Kyiv.
In Kyiv.
So we could possibly be looking at a great awakening. You think there's momentum behind? I mean, I certainly do. But in your opinion, Brandon, do you think there's momentum behind this type of revealing of accuracy and truth-telling that's going on?
I think so. I think, we all were being laughed at as everything's a conspiracy theory, and it seems the conspiracy theorists have been right a lot of the time now, recently. From this jab, how it's poisoned. We all saw the Pfizer adverse effects, what it does to people. But see how quickly they tried to bury that to Ukraine. Don't look at it. Pfizer also got taken off in the stock market. So that usually only happens for two things. Either you're corrupt or you've done something illegal. So it's very interesting. I only found that out through Mr. Price here today, that they were pulled off.
Mr. Who?
Jim Price.
Price. That Pfizer had been taken off the New York...
Off the stock market.
And that being the New York Stock Exchange, or?
I believe so. That's what we discussed today on his show. He shared that tidbit with me. So I find that that's truth. That's a lot. That's very interesting.
Do you think, as a Canadian, there's momentum behind that convoy, that truckers' convoy up there? Do you think there's enough momentum that it will reverberate and carry on to a continued movement? We look at people like Chris Sky and what they've done, and he continues to fight his fight.
I hope so. I really think it's been positive. It's really brought the Canadian people together. Nothing worse.
Because if they get ticked off, things will change, right? I mean, Canadians are very similar to Americans.
Yes, but I think they want to do it peacefully, and we all want to do it peacefully.
Yeah, of course.
No one wants to be violent.
No, right.
They want us to be violent. We don't. I think the other side wants us to do that so they can do something back. I think we need to be peaceful and do it lawfully.
Yeah, don't break noses, man.
No breaking noses. It's not practice.
Unless you play for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah. But I really believe it's brought Canada even closer. But I've also talked to some Canadians, and there's still a lot of the population they say are still asleep at the wheel. And hopefully, and it's hard, when I think Trudeau gave a lot of money to the Canadian media to zip it and all the taxpayer money. So, that's hard, so hopefully freedom prevails, and people keep at it, because you're making headway. You're getting attention. The world's watching, We're all watching what's going on in Canada, just like Canada's watching on what's going on here. We're watching what the Australians are doing, what European countries are doing. We're watching. We're all connected now. As much as the internet can be censored and things can be, blurred, we're all connected and able to watch what each other are doing and how their movements are doing. So don't think that your voice doesn't matter. We all matter. If anything, your voice can carry even farther than it ever has. So I think it's important to, wherever you are and you're feeling some kind of tyranny, is to speak up or participate in your community. Go to your school board meetings or your city board meetings. You don't have to speak up, but be there. Hold these people accountable. I think these people, when they get confronted, they want to run. They don't want to answer. They've either taken the money and they don't think they're going to be held accountable. And if you hold them accountable, they don't know what to do with themselves. And I think, hey, if you want to push this kind of agenda, you're going to be held accountable. It's only fair, regardless. Now, unfortunately, it's like New World Order garbage that they're pushing, but just, it's wrong. As a human being, you should have a right to choose what you like. It shouldn't be rammed down your throat. And for the whole globe, it's been rammed down our throats, I would have to say. And enough is enough.
Yeah, well said. Anybody else that you used to play with that is joining you and being vocal?
I know Dustin Penner. He used to play for Anaheim, Edmonton, and the Kings. He's been very vocal on Telegram. Him and I have talked here and there, and he's been good like that. But I wish more guys would come to the forefront. And if we join together, just as athletes, ex-athletes, current athletes, it doesn't matter. Stand up for what you care about. Freedom of choice, human rights as a human. I don't want my grandkids to be a unit. I want to have everyone to have that opportunity to live their dream, what makes them happy. You as an individual get to choose what makes you happy. Don't let the government of whatever country you're in choose for you.
Yeah. Brandon Witt, ladies and gentlemen, retired NHL defenseman, and being bold and speaking out against mandates and corruption, New World tyranny. Some closing thoughts, Brandon, for listeners. Some closing thoughts. I mean, you've said it pretty well here. Just
speak up. It's really important. I didn't think we would be still doing this when we spoke in July.
Yeah.
I didn't even think.
Was it July?
It was July.
It was July we last spoke?
It was July last year, and we did the Kaepernick spiel.
No way. That was Anaheim?
It was Anaheim. So, and I didn't think I didn't think.
It seems like it's like 3 months.
Yeah, no. It's
almost a year.
Yeah. It's insane. And it's gone, the craziness has gone long enough. Like enough. Like seriously. Like someone needs a punch in the face. Definitely. Just a little bop. Nothing hard. Just a little bop. So stand up. Stand up. Hold your lawmakers accountable.
How about a hockey puck in the nuts? Okay, sorry. I'm getting out of hand here with the my language has slipped.
It's okay. It's been a long day. It's hot in here.
It's hot. All right, so sorry, I just take away your. All right, so some closing thoughts here. Closing thoughts. Again,
just stand up. Stand up for your beliefs. Hold your lawmakers accountable. Enough is enough. Like I said, this has been July is last time we spoke. It's a long time. I didn't think it would last this long. I thought we would have this squashed, but we didn't know it was as corrupt as it is. And maybe this is supposed to happen this way so we see how corrupt it is. And it goes deep, very deep. I didn't think it went this deep, but the more you dig, the deeper it goes. And there's a lot of validation and information that we find. And don't think that, my neighbor, he thinks something crazy, it's a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories now are becoming the new mainstream. They're becoming the truth. A lot of truth. They thought, when we spoke, you guys are overreacting over the vaccine. This is ridiculous. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. Now we look at what the damage it does to people.
Right. Yeah.
It's harming people that it shouldn't harm for profit. Wrong on so many levels, man. So many levels. So it's good coming in and talking to you.
Until next time.
All right.
Until next July or June or March.
hopefully whenever.
Yeah, I mean we text back and forth once in a while.
Yeah.